Hi guys, it's Ray here from City Fan TV, and I'll introduce everybody. We've got Jennie. How you doing, Jennie?
Fine, thank you,
all right,
Ray?
Jennie?
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Sarah, Sarah and Peter. I'll tell you a little bit about Peter first, because I know a bit more about him. Peter is a social media and marketing guy. Big blue, you can see. He's dressed in blue. Everything in his room that's coloured is blue. And we've got Sarah Halpin, who is the Matchday social media person for Everton. Sarah.
I am, yes. Been working particularly with the women's team for the past 3 seasons, travelling home and away with them, and yeah, it's just absolutely brilliant to be able to work with the team that I absolutely adore. So yeah, massive blue noses here.
Best job in the world, Sarah?
Certainly at the moment, mate. I can't lie to you. Things are going pretty well, aren't they, eh? Let's hope it continues.
I'll nip back to Peter. Don't want to let him make you feel left out. How you doing, Peter? You okay, mate?
I'm fantastic, thank you.
Yeah,
absolutely
excellent.
Fantastic.
Yeah, proper. Can I call you Scousers? You don't mind?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It's the biggest compliment you can pay someone. Yeah.
Okay. Obviously, we're here to talk about a game between City and Everton. I have to remember my days. It's tomorrow, and it's in the Conti Cup, which some of you might not have heard of. It's a Continental Cup. It's basically the League Cup, and we're here to preview that game. So we're going to start off with just to go through a little bit of history of each club, because obviously fans of each club might not know about the other one's history, especially as obviously a lot of new people are coming into women's football and becoming really interested in it. So I'll start off with Peter and Sarah. If you can tell us a little bit about the history of Everton, because it's got a long and proud history.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, come on, Pete. You take this one, mate.
Well, certainly over the last 2 or 3 years, we've been getting back to the level that we sort of expected. Everton, we haven't actually won a trophy since 2010, I think it was, when we last won the FA Cup. We were formed as Everton Ladies in 1995, and we've been in and around the top division for as long as that. We had a spell when we were in the WSL2 for a few years. Thankfully, managed to get back up in 2017, I think it was. But yeah, we seem to be going in the right direction anyway. So
I'll get me banter in now. Because looking at your results this season, there's nothing else to give you any grief for. But you came up because Notts County folded, didn't they? And then they asked the clubs in WSL2 who wanted to come up, and some said no because they didn't think they were ready. And Everton said, yeah, where the big boys are, big girls, that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, so as Pete said, we've got a rich history in women's football, and one of the original kind of teams, as you said, we went out of the top division for a couple of years, did very well to come back up when we did, especially as you look at how much the game is growing and how much teams are advancing. I know we'll get on to talk about all the top players all over the globe that are coming over, but Everton as well, Everton women, we did have a lot of the best players, for example, Jill Scott, Nikita Paris, Lucy Bronze, Alex Greenwood, just off the top of my head, they're all players that were Everton players, and we seem to drop off a little bit as these new teams came in with the money, and Liverpool were up there at the time as well. And we saw a lot of our squad, our best players, moved on to where the money was at the time, which you can understand that happening in the women's game. And I think we lost our way a little bit. But what's really exciting about Everton now is that I think we're looking at getting right back up there again and being able to compete with the likes of Manchester City, Chelsea's, Arsenal. And
before I ask Jennie about our history, I've just got
back up there.
Yeah. Before I go to ask Jennie about City's history, I've just got to ask you this, because obviously you guys are from Merseyside. Hey.
I've got a puppy on the loose.
No, let's keep no jokes from me about puppies. I'm going to ask you from Liverpool. How sad were you to see that Liverpool women's team got relegated last season?
Well,
I can
To
see
be
you
honest,
still
for me,
sad about it, aren't you?
Yeah, I've got a lot of mates. We've both got mates that work quite closely with the women's team and are big fans of the women's team. So in that sense, actually, was gutted for them. But listen, we've had to put up with a lot of grief from the Reds over the years. So I don't think any of us shed any tears. Let's put it that way. You know, I wish them the best, but certainly enjoying the fact that Everton are by far the dominant team in the women's game at the moment.
Yeah, moving on. I'll have to move on to Jennie and ask her briefly once again a little bit about Manchester City's history. You know, how we were formed and what we've done in the last few years, especially.
Yeah, they formed in 1988 as Manchester City Ladies by Neil Mather, and they struggled for a few years, and then I think, it was around about the time of the Commonwealth Games when obviously Manchester City moved into the stadium, and they built the Academy Stadium, and we were reformed as Manchester City Women. And obviously we've been very successful since reforming. We've won a lot of trophies, all bar one that they really want, but yeah, they're doing all right.
I should say so. I think we are doing all right. Let's move on to some summer signings. I'll start with Peter and Sarah. We'll start with Peter. Who have you got in the summer? You know, have you bought anybody that will have heard of or you're really excited about?
I think we've made some outstanding signings in the summer. Yeah, Valerie Gorvan is probably the one I'm most excited about. She's been absolutely superb for us. She really has hit the ground running. She's still getting up to full fitness, to be honest. So she's been making substitute appearances, but in virtually every time she's coming on the pitch, she's scoring a goal. We've Poppy Patterson. She got her first start last week. Again, a young English player. Really great prospect, really great future ahead of her. Ingrid Mofold at right back. She was one that sort of went under the radar probably with Evertonians, but she's coming in and had been a fantastic signing. Rika Zavecki at centre half, again another class, another fantastic signing that we've made. To be honest, the squad is as balanced and as strong as I've seen it for a number of years now. It's also great to see Izzy Christiansen and Hayley Razzo, who signed in January but weren't able to play because of either injury or then the the lockdown and the end of the season. So those two are like new signings for us as well. But yeah, all in all, the standard and quality of the signings has been superb, and it really has taken us to the next sort of level.
Yeah, and Sarah, who do you think, either from your new signings or your old players, who do you think is going to be your star player this year? Who's going to make the biggest difference?
It's really difficult because we've actually got so many brilliant players at the moment, and we talk a lot about it being more than 11, more than just the starting 11. And I think Hayley Razzo absolutely looks sublime, brings so much in terms of energy, in terms of pace, in terms of tenacity, skill. So she's really one to watch out for. Izzy Christiansen, a player that you will know very well as well, has come back from injury and looks exceptional. Really cream of the crop kind of thing. You've got Lucy Graham, Valerie Gavan, who we brought in, the France international, for big money over the summer. She was a big signing for us, and she's already scored four goals for the Blues. So there's a Nico Sorensen, the new players like that. It's hard to pick out one particular. I think last season, it would have been Chloe Kelly. I think a lot of our good football went through Chloe last season. But what we've seen now with the players we've brought in is there's talent all over the park. But I think Valerie Gavan is one to watch out for, and Hayley Razzo as well. Simone McGill as well. She really is picked up again. So there's a lot of talent in that Everton squad. So a few of them, keep your eyes out for those.
I'll move on to Jennie, and obviously Jennie, we signed 5 players in the summer, and pretty much all, if you're into women's football, household names. The aforementioned Chloe Kelly from Everton. We got Rose Lavelle and Sam Mewis from the States, the World Cup winners, and we got from Lyon. We got Lucy Bronze, our old player Lucy Bronze. She came back, and we got Alex Greenwood. So I'll ask you, Jenny, start with. I'll ask you about Chloe Kelly, because obviously Chloe's played, I think, almost every game that we've had this season, and she's looked brilliant. What do you think about Chloe Kelly's, the way she started at City as if she's been here for ages?
Yeah, she seems to have slotted in really well with the team. I mean, I think we're probably a bit the same as Everton were last season. A lot of our play is going through Chloe, whether it's, whether she's shooting on goal or making the crosses. She scored obviously for us at the weekend. So yeah, I've been really impressed with her. But we knew what she was capable of from what she did at Everton.
Yeah. Well, we've got Laura Hemp. She's been out since the Community Shield. And what difference do you think she's going to make when we've got Chloe Kelly on one side and Laura Hemp on the other side? It's going to be a nightmare for opposition defences, isn't it, Jenny?
Yeah, I mean, I really don't know how they're going to slot the both of them in. We've got players in them positions. We've got nearly two players per position, which is what Gareth wanted. We were a bit thin on the ground at the start of the season due to injuries, COVID and everything, but we're getting players back now. I mean, we've got Megan Campbell to come back, Aoife Mannion to come back. So it's going to be a really exciting team.
Yeah, Jenny, and then who do you reckon out of all the new signings is going to be who's going to fit in the best, or who's going to be the star signing for us?
I think we've seen already that Chloe Kelly's going to be the one that really, she progresses even further. I think she's going to be a top English player for a long time.
Yeah, it's interesting. I'm going to say it's interesting you say that, because we've already seen Sam Mewis, World Cup winner, has slotted in, and she's looked in a couple of games. She looks absolutely phenomenal. And for you to put Chloe Kelly above her, that's really some statement as to how Chloe is settled in at City and how she's already made a huge difference. Because watching it on your telly, but it's not the same as being in the ground. But she's already getting you off your seat, isn't she? So it's really exciting. We'll move on to, I've got to talk about Everton's start to the season. Now, when people talk about Everton's start to the season being unbeaten, winning all their games, people would automatically think we're talking about the men's team who've won all their 7 games, playing really well, top of the table. But actually, when you look at the Everton women's team results, you've won all your games as well. You've had 5 games. You give Villa a spanking the other day, 6-0 at their place, I think. You've let in 1 goal in 5 games. So I could ask you, it seems a silly question, how'd your start been to the season? Let's change that a little bit. Why are you so much better this season than last season? Go on, Peter.
I think, well, firstly, you were talking about Chloe Kelly there. I think it's important for us to mention the contribution that Chloe made to us last season. I think she was absolutely superb, and we're not surprised in the slightest to hear that she's been doing so well for City. And we were very lucky to have seen Chloe play to that standard for a couple of years, and she really is a fantastic professional, a fantastic player, and she's got a huge future in the game. I think last season we were possibly slightly over-reliant on Chloe in terms of creating chances and in terms of having an out-and-out goal scorer. I think the biggest difference this season is that we seem to have goals all over the pitch, and the players seem to be linking up superbly. The trio of Razzo, Simone McGill, and Izzy Christiansen has been absolutely superb. The movements, the interchange between the 3 of them has been absolutely superb, and we've been a real threat, to be honest. We're not just a threat in a singular position now. We've got players in a number of positions who are causing problems, which has meant it's taken the pressure off our defence slightly. Because we're in the possession of the football more, we're attacking teams more. It'll be interesting when we come up against one of the top sides with respect. Obviously, Chelsea in the cup was a superb result. I think that was a result that gives you huge belief for the rest of the season. I think that quarter final was something that would have been played before the lockdown happened, and it was a long time coming. But for the players to respond the way they did, and especially from coming back from a goal behind so early on. I think it showed that the group of players that we've got now is not only full of ability, but full of the right mentality and the right fight. And I think that's been a huge change. There's been a huge change in the mindset of the whole club over the last 2 years. I think we've gone from sort of trying to build a side to now be in a position where we've got a fantastic side, and we've been able to add top class players to that.
Yeah, Sarah, I mean, how much do you think that win against Chelsea in the FA Cup quarter final, wasn't it? How much do you think that made everybody else sit up and take notice? Because Chelsea are a phenomenal side.
Yeah, they really are. And as Pete just said, to go behind, I was at Goodison that day, and when Cuthbert scored after less than 5 minutes, I'll be honest with you, you do sort of get that feeling in your stomach of, oh gosh, like, come on, keep your heads. And they did exactly that. I think internally, all of us within the club have been, looking at the summer. And of course, when Chloe left, people think, oh, are Everton going to drop off? But you look at the talent we've brought in. Willie's really assembled the team that he wants. He's had time now to get players in that he wants as his side. And he's been telling the players, I spoke to him post-match and he said, it doesn't matter how often I tell the players that you're good enough and you can beat anyone. And, we are a fantastic side. We can beat Chelsea. We can beat anybody. He said, the difference is now we've got proof. We've done it. We've beaten Chelsea. So as much as, you've got that whole, we can do it. They know now that on their day, they can beat anybody. And obviously, to get through to the FA Cup final, when you get into the final, you have to beat the best to win it. But we've shown that we can beat some of the best. And I think for the players, psychologically, they've been playing some lovely stuff, and everybody, they know they're a good side, they're confident, but to know, okay, we can beat the likes of Chelsea with all their superstar players, and we're as good as anybody on our day. And I think that will have pushed us even further on psychologically.
Yeah, like you say, psychologically, the belief must be incredible now, because as you say before, it's like it's one thing your manager telling you can do it, and maybe you don't really believe him, but once you see that you can do it, then it's coming from inside now, because it's not somebody else from outside telling you. You can feel it from inside, and you believe you can do it. It's fantastic. It's good to see you guys back, having a good run. And Jennie, how are we doing this season? Obviously, the first few games, I was on record as saying I was a little bit concerned because our performances were a little bit up and down, and then we've just gone and beaten Arsenal in the FA Cup semi-final. It's one of the best games. It's the best games I've seen all season, men's or women's. And then obviously last game we had a comfortable win. I think it was 4-1. So how are we doing now in the last couple of games, Jennie, compared to what we were doing at the start of the season?
Yeah, I mean, when we started, obviously in the Community Shield, we just looked tired. I suppose a lot of them were, even though they've been training during lockdown, they wouldn't have been up to match fitness. We did have players that were out, whether it was injury, and obviously Rose Lavelle, she was quarantining. But the game against Arsenal, it was a fantastic game. It was my favourite game so far. We played the kind of football that we know we can play, that we were playing last season, the season before. And I just think they need to carry on from that, really. Look at that first half and think that's how we need to play, because they do need to play against any team they come against. It's no use playing for sort of 60, 70 minutes and then dropping off, because that's what we did against Tottenham, and they scored a goal.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to ask you guys, obviously it's the Continental Cup, which is the League Cup. It's a group. You have a group stage where there's 4 teams, and it's Liverpool, Man United, Everton and City, because it's nice and regional. But my concern, and I think a lot of people have been on social media, I've seen a lot of it today, people complaining about, they're asking, are they actually that bothered about the Continental Cup? Because, how do you watch the games? It's difficult to even watch the games. Are they all going to be televised? I know for the City game, the game tomorrow, you can watch it on City TV or the City Plus app or something. I think it's about £2 a month. So people from other clubs, other fans are going to join that. And there's 2 points. How are you going to watch it? And these 2 p.m. kickoffs on some of the games is ridiculous, because obviously fans are going to struggle to be able to watch it even if it's available, because a lot of people are working and people are in school. You have to really be die-hard fans with spare time to watch these games. So there's 2 questions there. I'll start with Peter. Do you think the FA are really bothered about the Conti Cup by the fact that they're not showing it across all the media?
I think certainly, with the points that you've made, in terms of the kick-off times, that's a huge, that's a big clue that the FA maybe don't take the Conti Cup as seriously as the FA Cup, for example. I think to be honest, I don't think the fans necessarily take it as seriously. Anyway, obviously it's something. If we were able to go, I'd be going there, tomorrow night, but unfortunately we're not able to. And with the lockdown happening and everything else, it's almost like another excuse to push it to the back of the queue in terms of how important it is and how respected it is. I think certainly as a club we have to take any cup competition that we enter seriously. But at the same time, it's a really good way for us to be able to play some of the players who might not have played as much so far this season, to be able to get some of the new signings up to speed, to be able to give minutes to players who haven't started, and to rest some of our better players. So it's still an important cup competition for me, and it's certainly something that I want to see us take seriously, especially because as the other lot managed to get relegated, it might be the only chance we get for a derby this year.
Yeah. What about you, Sarah?
Yeah, I think the points you make are excellent, and the fact that the kickoff times and the fact that they're barely shown on anything. So as you say, we're at such a critical time, I feel, in the women's game and growing it, and it is growing so well. And the fact that the best players in the world are deciding to come to this league, etc. We're facing a bit of a backlash anyway. Of course, everyone in football is at the moment trying to battle this COVID situation and make up for what we've been pushed back with stuff like that. But yeah, I think if they want the competition, if they want women's football and particularly certain competitions to grow, then at least make them accessible, isn't it? How are people meant to get excited and revved up for a game if they're struggling to think how they're going to watch it? I've got all my family as well with diehard Blues, and particularly my sister and my mum, they want to watch Everton women all the time. Obviously they can't come to the games at the moment, as can no fans, which is really sad, of course. But yeah, they're very, very frustrated when Everton women are playing and they can't get access to watch it. And as you rightly say, I think we're seeing more games such as the FA Cup games, FAWSL games are being televised more, whereas the Conti Cup does seem to just kind of be that kind of tournament that's sort of there, and you're having to do a lot of work often to find out what the scores are, what the results are, who the goal scorers are, and they need to make it more accessible. So yeah, having a look at how they can, obviously it's difficult at the moment, but going forward, I think looking at fixtures that don't clash so much, better times, and certainly making them more available and for people to watch and consume. Else, how are you gonna get people on board?
Absolutely. And Jennie, is the Conti Cup one of your favourites? Obviously we won it a couple of years back. So how do you feel about the Conti Cup and the way the FA are treating it?
Yeah, I agree that I don't think the FA make it a priority. Definitely not, because it is just so it's not easy to, like you say, get to see a game or even find out what the score is. There's one game I remember that we were playing in Reading on a Thursday night at 7:00. If we want to go down and travel, if you're at school or at work, we wouldn't have time to get down for 7:00. So a lot of the fans were like, well, just can't go. You can't take a day off school for the kids and days off work just to go and watch a football match. So it does make it harder for fans to, when they can go and watch the games, to go, because they put them in, Manchester playing, I can't remember who we were playing, but we were playing at the Reading ground, and it was just like think it was Arsenal we were playing. Well, it's easier for them to get to Reading, but for us, it's a long journey. And I just think that they need to think about that. And this 2:00 kickoff, it's just ridiculous if you're at school or work and, you're not going to be able to watch.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. Liverpool have got 2 games at 2:00 in the afternoon. And, some people are saying it's so they don't have to pay the Lecky bill on the floodlights. Now, I don't know if there's any truth in that. But, they're scrimping and saving. I don't know if it's the fact that they've been relegated and they're not taking it seriously themselves. But I'm guessing, if I'm right, is it the home club that suggests the time and it's up to the away club to object? I'm not sure exactly how Liverpool got away with 2:00 kickoffs. But yeah, the FA have got to look at this. They've got to make it accessible to the fans when we're back. Give us a chance of going. Like Sarah said, maybe have double headers or look at how you do the men's and women's game. At least put some effort in to give fans a chance. I think Jennie's spoken in the past where one day we had, I think, the women's game around lunchtime or early afternoon. The men's game was an evening game, an evening kickoff. So if you wanted to, you could make a full day of it. You walk across from the Academy Stadium. 10 minutes later, you're at the big stadium and you can watch both games. It's a fabulous thing. Obviously, there's a game to be played as well between the sides. So, briefly to finish off, we'll just get a score prediction from everybody. We'll start with Peter to get a score prediction for the game.
I think it's a difficult one to call, to be honest with you, just because of the fact that we don't really know how strong the teams are, how strong a lineup where Everton are going to play or City, in fact. So I'm always an optimist, so I'll go 2-1 to Everton.
What about you, Sarah?
Yeah, I think, again, without knowing what the starting 11s are going to be, it's quite difficult. Obviously, it's a nice little taster of the final that's to come in a few weeks' time. So yeah. I wonder if there'll be a bit of trying to suss each other out, trying to kind of get the lowdown on what the other's going to do and try and bit of mind games you don't know. But I'm going to be optimistic like Pete and go for a 2-1 win, saying the 1 because if Chloe Kelly's playing, she's nailed on to score, and it's what she does. So gonna go for a 2. Oh, it could, of course, it could be a draw, and then we go to the penalties in that madness. So we'll have to wait and see what happens there. But I'm going to go for an Everton win. I've got to.
What about you, Jennie?
Yeah, well, it's not going to be an easy game. I'm even tempted to think that both teams might play a completely different team to what they're going to put out in the FA Cup final, just so that they don't get any sort of information on what's going to happen in the final. So, but I'm going to go 2-1 to City, I think.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, I'll go. Yeah, 2-1. 2-1 sounds like a good score, so I'll go 2-1 to City as well. So all around the houses, we've got 2-1. At the end of the day, as long as we beat the Dirty Reds, from Manchester and Liverpool, I think we can all agree with that. Guys, we're going to say, guys, it's been great fun chatting with the both of you about this game, and hopefully, I always say best team wins, and hopefully no one gets hurt, and everybody comes home safely, and we have a good time, and then hopefully, at some point, we will be allowed to go to games again and support our teams and watch each other. So I'll go around the houses and say a big thank you to Sarah for coming on today.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
Most welcome. Peter.
Thanks very much for having me on, and the puppy when he made a little cameo appearance. Sorry about that.
Yes, Sarah. Hey, trust me, we've had Jennie's. Have you got an Alsatian, Jennie, or what have you got?
No, sorry. I've got a Staffy and a Staffy cross.
Yeah.
Oh,
when
they come on one of the last ones.
Yeah, when they come on screen, well, they're the stars of the show.
It's working from home, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's the times we're living in.
Absolutely. And Jennie, once again, with the 2 games every week, it's like I'm saying this to you every other day, Jennie. Thanks very much for coming on today.
Very welcome. It's been a pleasure. Nice to meet you both.
Nice to meet you,
Jennie. Hope to see you at a game next season, or sooner.
Yeah, hopefully. You've got my dream job. I'd love that job at City.
I hope.
Let's get you in. Let's get you in at City. Let's get you in at City. You know your stuff. That's what we need. Well, more power to you. Exactly.
More power. Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you so much. And Obviously Jennie and I will at least Jennie will certainly be back after the game to give you her review, and hopefully if I get a chance to watch it, I'll do the same. But thanks to everybody for joining in today, and guys, keep it blue. We'll see you soon.